And what is going on, my Houston Texans family? Hope you're all are having a blessed Sunday. Hey, this time next week, we will be at the deck on Fountain View for the biggest watch party to kick off the season. Houston Texans versus Los Angeles Rams. Can't wait to see you guys there. What I wanted to talk about today, now that training camp, preseason, the 53-man roster being done, now that it's all over, I wanted to talk to you guys and I wanted to hear from you guys about our expectations for this Houston Texans team. Let me know in the comments down below your win-loss prediction. How are we going to get there? What would make this season a success? What would make this season a disappointment? Now, ladies and gentlemen, after this year, there is going to be a conversation about Nick Caserio, DeMeco Ryans, CJ Stroud, and I'll get to that. But first, this episode is brought to you and powered by Sleeper. The NFL season is here, which means you now have a chance to 100 times your cash on daily fantasy football. Football has never been more exciting than it is now, with players like CJ Stroud, Pat Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Justin Jefferson. Pick on stats for these stars like touchdowns, passing yards, receiving yards, fantasy points, and more for up to a 100 times payout on Sleeper. Get your picks right and you could win big. Use promo code 713HOU and you'll get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. Now, like I said before, after this season, there's going to be a conversation about general manager Nick Caserio, head coach DeMeco Ryans, and quarterback CJ Stroud, because this is now year 3 of this trio. The last 2 seasons, it's been great. It's been fun. 20 wins. Back-to-back AFC South champions. Back-to-back dominant performances at home in the playoffs. But unfortunately, we know how the season has ended, the same way it always ended when you're somewhat successful, a loss in round 2 of the playoffs, which is why I'm going to tell you right out the bat, it's AFC Championship or bust. That's my goal for this year. Get to the AFC Championship, then whatever happens, happens. The Texans for multiple times have been one of the final 8 teams left. But they haven't got any closer, any further. They are inching and inching for that. If you know WWE, this feels like I'm on my Jeff Hardy 2008 championship run where I just can't get it. With that being said, it needs to be AFC Championship or bust. Now, if someone major gets hurt, now I'm talking about like CJ Stroud, then, the conversation, it definitely changes. However, we need to not only get to an AFC Championship, but that second round game or third round game, however, we need to see a round 2 playoff game in Houston. Now that requires you to have a pretty successful season. That requires you to be one of the best in the AFC. That requires you to not lose that dumbass game that you lose every single year. And you guys know what I'm talking about. It was the Titans this year after you sacked Will Levis 10 times in the first half. It was the Jets it was the Jets also. Or the Jets the year before that, I'm sorry. And then the Falcons won. And then the whatever. Moving on. You got to take care of business. AFC Championship or bust. That's it. I will be more than happy. Get into round 3 in the playoffs. For quarterback CJ Stroud, my expectations for him is to be that, it's to transition into that leader. Right now, there is a lot of questions about CJ Stroud's leadership. Is he the one that could rally the troops? We know he's very emotional on the sideline. This is a big year for CJ Stroud as he takes a step forward into he's no longer going to be, the young guy in the locker room. He's now going to be, year 3, year 4, 5 CJ Stroud in. He's now going to be a veteran. And you're going to have to lead 53 men. Now, I believe he already is. But we know you can get better in things. What is a successful season for CJ Stroud? I mean, we're talking about over 4,000 yards. We're talking about over 25 touchdowns. We're talking about less than, 13 interceptions. We've seen a top 5 CJ Stroud in this league all the way back in year 1. You get anything remotely close to that this year, it's going to be special because of the defense that you have. My expectation for CJ Stroud is to get back into that top 5 conversation and have no doubt this time. Yeah, that's a top 5 quarterback. Because people right now still don't believe in CJ Stroud. That's why you see guys go on First Take and say the Tennessee Titans are going to win the division.
Sleeper is the #1 fantasy sports app. It pays to know sports. Pick more or less on top players. Your first pick is on us, so start winning now. Play in Texas, Georgia, Minnesota, and 27 more states. Pick anytime across all sports, pregame or live. Over 10 million players are already on Sleeper. Make your picks count. Score up to 1,000 times your cash. Join today. Get up to $100 credit using code 713HOU. Call your shot on Sleeper. Download now.
The Jacksonville Jaguars are going to win the division. We are sold on CJ Stroud. Others are sold on CJ Stroud. But it's going to take a little more. And it's going to take number 7 to convince them. You have a new offensive coordinator in Nick Caley. My expectations for him is don't be Bobby Slowick. I don't want to hear Bobby Slowick say there is nothing that team did in the first half that they didn't do in the second half. And you know which game I'm talking about? The Detroit Lions game where you had them beat 23-0 and then they came back and scored 25 unanswered points on you. I want to see an offense that is built around these players, an offense that's a just. We are already seeing great things from Nick Caley. The energy, is, I think, one of the most important things that we've seen so far because players, they relate to that. They follow that. That's why guys love DeMeco Ryans, love Dan Campbell, love Mike Vrabel. There's a certain energy about them. There's a certain vibe about them. My expectation from Nick Caley, like I said, don't be Bobby Slowick. I'm not asking for this offense to just immediately jump into top 10, top 5 conversations. I would absolutely love that. But I know what I'm going to lean on this season, and that's the defense. So this offense, I know that it's young. I know we got CJ Stroud. I'm going to keep that patience, though, for the first, I would say, month of the season. Once we get into week 6, week 7, we need to start scoring. But Nick Caley, don't be Bobby Slowick. It's kind of hard in the run game because you don't know what's going to happen with Joe Mixon. Ooh, voice crack there. You hope Nick Chubb could be what he was a couple of years ago with the Cleveland Browns, one of the best running backs in the NFL. Now, he has looked better as training camp has gone on. Woody Marks, just make a name for yourself. Take advantage of these opportunities that you are going to get. And I've seen some hot takes. I have one hot take from the Discord that says Woody Marks will start the game before Joe Mixon returns. That's going to be a fun conversation to have. Expectations for the pass catchers, man. Nico Collins, if healthy, I expect him to be one of the very best in the NFL. Christian Kirk, if healthy, a legit number 2 wide receiver. Now, I said when he was with the Jacksonville Jaguars and he was fully healthy, he was a top 20 guy. Do I think he could potentially be a top 20 guy here? Absolutely. But my expectations for Christian Kirk is to be that safety blanket for CJ Stroud, right? We know how important a slot wide receiver is going to be in this Nick Caley offense, right? Getting the ball out quick. That screams Christian Kirk, and we've already seen it in training camp and in the preseason. Be a safety blanket for CJ Stroud, Christian Kirk, and also give us that home run play that we were missing last year. Expectations from the rookies, man, it's a little different. Just don't go out there and lose reps. Just don't go out there and do things where, the coach is going to say, what are you doing, son? And I don't think we got, those type of rookies. I think we got some sharp young men. Crazy that I'm talking about these guys and saying young men. Oh, I'm getting old myself. 27, dear Lord. Tight end group, Dalton Schultz. Please go back to what you were in year one, where you were helping the Texans win games. Didn't feel your presence at all last year. On the defensive side, ladies and gentlemen, my expectations is it's the best unit in the NFL. It's Will Anderson Jr., Danielle Hunter having 10 sacks each. It's Will Anderson Jr. winning the Defensive Player of the Year award. Danielle Hunter being in that conversation. I expect this Houston Texans defense to be the best Houston Texans defense that we've ever seen. And yes, that includes J.J. Watt. Because when I look at this Texans defense from top to bottom, I mean, Pro Bowlers, all pros, this is going to be a scary defense. We saw last year Jared Goff, Tua Tagovailoa, Justin Herbert in the playoffs, Josh Allen looks silly. And I mean silly. Josh Allen, when he came to Houston, had one of the worst quarterback ratings ever. And the Houston Texans barely won that game. Jared Goff, 4 or 5 interceptions in that game on Sunday Night Football, comes back. This defense is going to get better. The secondary, you got the best cornerback in the NFL in Derek Stingley. You got a top 20 cornerback in Kamari Lassiter. And you have an elite safety group. I mean, elite is... It's crazy to call this unit elite because you know they can get better. And that's what Kalen Bullock entering year 2. And C.J. Gardner-Johnson is still 27, 28 years old. If healthy, this Houston Texans team could potentially go far. I am excited for this season, ladies and gentlemen. My expectations, once again, for this defense, Super Bowl caliber, for this team overall, AFC Championship. My expectations are 11 wins from this team. CJ Stroud getting back into those top 5 conversations. I feel like we're just on the cusp, ladies and gentlemen. I feel like we're, one of the good mid-tier teams, and we're trying to, push ourselves into the conversations with the Bills and the Ravens and the Chiefs. And say what you want about Lamar Jackson. Say what you want about Josh Allen. When everyone talks about those 2 quarterbacks, those 2 teams, they say, yeah, they could get it done. Last year, the Texans kind of got some of that hype. They lost it immediately. Now this year, they are back to going into a scenario where they have to shock the NFL world. And I hope they do. For more Houston Texans content, guys, you guys all know what to do. Feel free and follow me for more. Shout out to Sleeper, who is sponsoring and powering this episode. Get a $100 deposit match up to $100. Use promo code 713HOU. Shout out to Sleeper. I love you guys. Go Houston. Have a very, very blessed day.